Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Slow Down episode. Before we get into it, I've got just a little bit of housekeeping. I want to thank our newest Patreon supporters. We've got Dylan Hayden representing the emo veterans and Carrie Sanchez joining the Council of Elders. Thank you both so much for supporting the show. It means so much. And one last little thing here. When I was visiting Pat over the weekend, we did a live AMA on YouTube, which was a ton of fun. And on it, we drew the winners of the survey completers. Sorry, I don't know what to call you. We had 30 people fill out the survey, which was really awesome. I was expecting maybe 5, so it was a huge win. We gained a ton of contradicting opinions from people, so honestly, I feel like we're worse off than when we started, but at least we know what some of you like. Anyways, we picked 3 winners to win a Zoom call with Pat and I, some prints, and some stickers. And the winners in order: number 1, the person who gets to claim whichever prize they want, is Adrian Salazar. Second place, we have Jess Isaacs. And third place, Dylan Hayden. We used commentpicker.com to randomly select 3 people from the list that we had, and congratulations to all the winners. I think we've reached out to everyone about the prizes, so we'll be getting those underway, and I'm really excited about it. Thank you to everyone that filled out the survey. Thank you to all the Patreon supporters, and thank you for listening to me ramble through this first few minutes. And now to the episode. How do you want to start it?
I want to start it just calling you out, man. I think you need to accept the fact that I associate this video with Fuse being on in your house all the time, like kind of perpetually. It was only music videos on your TV. That's how it is in my memory.
I don't think I had cable.
I don't know how to tell you this, but like, I don't know how you could even say that to me. You're shattering my whole life story. For you to say that there was never Fuse on your television is honestly shocking to me.
I feel like there was a station. It was channel 17,236 that was like Musician's Choice or something, and that's where I saw the Cartel AOL sessions. That's where I watched probably the Make Damn Sure music video. But I never had cable growing up. I don't think so. I would not have had Fuse on. To me, Fuse is in Adam's house thing, who, for the listeners, was the other member of our high school band. He always had Fuse on.
Was it Trance? I feel like we would have been loading the car to go to Trance or whatever, at like a club in the area that we used to play at. And Slow Down was just there. It might have been the AOL thing. It might have been something you were projecting onto the TV. But either way, I associate every media I consumed at your house just to be music videos in some form or fashion, or FIFA was being played on a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think it was called Music Choice, but I don't know. I don't know, because I actually
there was no shortage of people playing that game at the time.
Anyways, at one point we may have seen this on Fuse. I'm interested to hear.
May we have?
I'm interested to hear your perception of the Academy is. I'm
interested to hear your perception of the Academy is at large at the time. Let's get into it.
This is Tom's mom, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast.
All right, so what is this band to you? Like, if you had to describe it
to you,
like if you
had to describe it in one word.
Stop copying me.
Stop copying me.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. In one word, Jeremy, our Twitter follower, Jeremy, who fucking loves Almost Here so much.
Really?
I think this is one of our White Whale episodes for him specifically. Yeah, there's too many. We need to stop using White Whale because there was only one White Whale for Ahab. There's like dozens of music videos you guys want us to do, which is a blessing and a great thing. So I'll stop using the term White Whale. This is just one of the videos we should have gotten to a long time ago. One of the Fueled by Ramen acts that we have not quite explored at length. But if I had to use one word, and this is me stalling while I think about it, to explain what? The band, the album, or the song?
The band.
Pretty.
Pretty. Okay. Can't disagree with that. What about from like a musical standpoint? Or does that not even matter? Because what is it, William Beckett's all that mattered was his fucking hair.
Underrated.
Underrated. Okay.
Maybe not by a lot, but I think
I might say overrated.
Oh, wow.
Or like
what about
meh.
them as a band in one word? You didn't play your own game.
Yeah, overrated. Meh. I don't know. I have to say it.
Jesus fucking Christ, Tom.
I have to say at the top, I feel nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing about this. Well, okay. I keep confusing this song with I would never in my life speak ill of Rookie of the Year because they are like one of my favorite bands ever. From their very early EP, I think they had a song that might have just been called Slow Down, and I don't really care for it. But up until the day, like yesterday, up until the day before we recorded this song, every time I saw the phrase slow down in our Google Doc, I kept thinking of the Rookie of the Year song, maybe the one in their entire catalog I don't care for. So when I played the music video, it was totally different than I expected. So maybe there's a part of me that just like doesn't care for the band because I associate it with a song I don't care about that's not even their song.
Is there a part of you that hates slowing down?
Oh my God, dude, I might... what's that quote from The Office where like... Shit, what is it when they're going to get the pies and they're talking about the movie where the guy, like, if he slows down, he'll die from like lack of adrenaline, or what was it called?
I don't think it was Speed necessarily.
Or it was like Unlimited or something. And Phyllis is like, oh, is that the one where the guy is unlimited? But I feel like that's me. If I slow down, I will literally fucking die or just descend into the worst depression ever. So, yes,
you and
Pat.
Conan O'Brien can't stop. So this is not a Rookie of the Year song. I think that's a great place to start, Tom, actually, is that we are talking about the Academy is today. A Fueled by Ramen Act.
I love Rookie of the Year so fucking much. Ryan's going to be on the show soon.
Stop talking about Rookie of the Year, man. Stop it.
But they're so much better than the Academy is.
Jesus Christ. It's not even Scorchfest 2022 yet. And we have blown through Jesus Christ. Okay. Let's at least do some fast facts before this goes off the rails. This is a song I enjoy. I would say I like the Academy as much as I like Hot Hot Heat, which is to say that I like them a fair amount, but I'm not intimately familiar with their catalog. Just to give you a glimpse about where I'm at heading into this. And when we do these White Whale episodes, it's us attempting to meet you guys halfway and lay some stuff down about bands that aren't Paramore, basically. Drink, because we mentioned Paramore, I guess. We're just adding new rules to the reminiscent drinking game. So they're an American rock band from Chicago, Illinois, the greater Chicagoland area. Formed in 2003, and we talked recently, or at one point, we recorded anyway, the episode for Newfound Glory and My Friends Over You. That Sticks and Stones was released in 2002, and we talked about kind of the decade kind of starting in maybe in 2003. I think this would support that theory, more or less. Fueled by Ramen seemed to have a lot of Midwest acts in the Chicago area, Fall Out Boy, etc., as you know. They were originally known as the Academy.
Oh.
But when they named after our high school, actually. Did you know that?
Dope.
No, obviously that's not true. But I do, when I was, I think, was it Tyler iPod or somebody super random that I should not have their iPod that day, should not have had their iPod that day. I did stop scrolling because we went to, our high school was called Academy. So I was like, oh, interesting. So that's why I tried it. And he was one of those people who didn't have any full albums. It might not have been Tyler, but this person's iPod didn't have any full albums, which I thought was kind of insane behavior. Did you ever have that? An iPod was from somebody who never had a full album, but just the hits from all different types of bands, like LimeWire era, only stuff they'd heard of, never complete albums. Had you ever run into that ever?
I mean, that was usually my iPod until I discovered torrents, which the first album I torrented was Bone Palace Ballet. So those didn't come until, that would have been 2007 or 8. I only had the singles on my iPod for like most of my life. Yeah.
Well, what was interesting is there was like, I don't know if like, I don't want to just start naming people like Trevor or whatever, but people who would like, you'd get a glimpse of maybe their taste of music on a dress down day and they'd have a Boys Like Girls t-shirt on or whatever. And I might ask you to bleep the last names of Tyler and Trevor in this scenario, just because like, I don't know their life like that. And I could be remembering 4 other different people or like 2 different Tylers in our grade. To be honest with you, it could have been any of the Tylers. But yeah, I was always curious when there weren't albums on there, mostly because from my perspective, everyone had an older sister who just gave them a binder full of blank CDs one Christmas and then like kind of your life begins. Obviously, that doesn't happen for everybody, but I was always curious, like, where's your intel coming from? Because they would have like Shimmy Shimmy Quarter Turn or a couple of different Hello Goodbye songs, for example, and then you scroll down and be like, oh, they're aware of all the same shit we are, but they don't go to the Hangout necessarily. But they must be finding out about this shit from somewhere, and they're very on the pulse of it. But there's a very specific like playlist kind of culture sprouting, more or less, I guess is really what I'm working at. Anyway, it kind of fascinated me as like a different approach to like assembling your iPod.
I've never been a fan of playlists, man, ever.
Interesting. But you're a LimeWire, only the hits, not albums guy on the iPod. So what kind of guy are you, Tom?
But I could listen to one song for a full decade and not wish for much else. So.
Yeah, the playlist is one song on repeat. The repeat function is your playlist function. Anyway, so yeah, it was a real thumb stopper for me as I was scrolling. Not very far, might I add, because it was in the section for the A's. But yeah, they added the is ... in 04 to avoid legal complications. And then later they would add the numbers 182 to the end of it because there was a band in Scotland that had a similar name as well. So,
wait, can you imagine in modern time, like everyone's iPod is their phone, just like having someone's phone for a day? And also, who's giving up their iPods for a day? That seems like
I might have just been scrolling at lunch. I might have just been scrolling. I don't know. People were sharing, putting headphones in each other's ears in real basketball games and shit. I don't know. Again, it could have not been any of the Tylers. I'm not saying this memory is fully intact. I'm just saying there seemed to be a different approach to iPods.
Okay.
Yes, and me, just for a minute. Just for a minute. No, but legal complications, they wanted to avoid all that stuff. And so the Academy is ... was born April 13th, 2004. Signed to Fueled by Ramen. In the same month, they went on tour supporting Less Than Jake, which I found to be pretty fucking fascinating because I feel like the Less Than Jake singer has been pretty anti-flash over substance in reference to some of the late 2000s bands that, and that might not apply to the Academy, but I would have assumed maybe he was talking more about like kind of the neon era stuff. And he might have not have even said that. That's just like a word of mouth thing that's been stuck in my head by some of the ska heads that lived in our neighborhood growing up. But anyway, I was a little bit shocked, I guess, to be scrolling through and seeing that this was one of the bands they supported when they were young. But yeah, so 2004, they're doing their thing. William Beckett, future star in the eyes of Fueled by Ramen anyhow. Almost Here recorded at Wisner Productions in St. Cloud, Florida with James Paul Weisner, who produced, engineered, and recorded the sessions, also mixing the album with Jeremy Dubois at The Dungeon in Miami, Florida. Alan Douches mastered the album at West Side Music. This was copy and pasted from Wikipedia, everybody. I don't know any of those people or any of those places. If you do, tweet at us at _reminiscent on Twitter. Okay. When we talk about Fueled by Ramen peaking in 05, it started in January of 05, where the Academy has toured across the U.S. And this is one of the things they had going on, aside from Fever You Can't Sweat Out and From Under the Cork Tree coming out. In January and February 2005, the band toured across the U.S. alongside Something Corporate, Hidden in Plain View, Straight Light Run, and Armor for Sleep. Tom, thoughts on that redonkulous lineup?
Well, I don't know Hidden in Plain View, and I only know that one Straight Light Run song. In those 2 Armor for Sleep songs and those 2 Something Corporate songs.
Was it? It might have been just your fucking iPod that day.
Right. Because I did have this song in the other The Academy Is song.
What is the other in your mind?
We talked about it before. This is not the first time we've talked about The Academy Is.
I think it officially is, yes. They've come up in drafts.
No. Okay, let me bring it up.
Yes.
No, it was one of those, this versus that episodes, because I remember photoshopping the hell out of the artwork for the audiogram.
Okay.
It was the other one. Let's see.
The other one?
The other one. The other big one. This band was not as big as Fueled by Ramen was hoping it would be, for sure. Oh my God.
I just want to let the audience know that this payoff isn't going to be worth the wait, but I'm going to sit here and wait for it anyhow.
The Academy is Trivia Game Show, November 22nd, 2019.
Yeah, we did try to squeeze them into an episode. It didn't go great. I think we talked about 3 different bands that day, trying to do like this fake game show thing before we figured out the format of the show. So I'm assuming the other song you're referencing would have been like Attention, Attention or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
Like tracks 1 and, you started at the beginning of the albums more or less. So if I had to bet money on it, you would have just took the first 2 and put them on your iPod and would have downloaded more later.
On to something else.
Oh my fucking God, Tom. Is the glass half full or half empty? Do I even have to ask? Also, I'm curious, to your point though, is there a second Stray Light Run song?
I don't even know.
Everyone on that tour was just like not into 80% of the sets.
Anyways, it seems like a pretty big tour. Lots of
the
hype.
negativity is spreading too quickly. It's spreading too quickly. No.
Oh boy.
Almost here. For future reference, when we have a pre-show call and you're saying I'm not feeling this one, I will take you at your word next time, because you are tying this episode to stakes that you're hammering into the ground. Like refusing to let it happen, but we're in it now, so we should embrace it. We're like recording it at this moment, so like it or not, I'm going to keep reading these fast facts that are not fast or fun in your eyes, as it's becoming immediately clear. But we're going to finish it, goddammit.
I'm so sorry, everyone.
Don't make me turn this thing around. Almost Here, which is the album this song's on, Tom. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but it was released in February 8th through Fueled by Ramen. Yeah, June to August, they were on Warped Tour. January 2006, they went on a sold-out UK tour with Panic at the Disco. Tom, here's a thing that I know, and sorry for flaming you a little bit, just trying to add some spice, but this was something I think both of us wanted to talk about. We recorded an episode about A Little Less 16 Candles, A Little More Touch Me, which is a fantastic, fantasy-laden, Fall Out Boy, lengthy, indulgent, Fueled by Ramen music video. We're going to probably do Cobra Starship, Snakes on a Plane video next, which is like a second attempt at what that Little Less 16 Candles video was, where they had all their acts kind of in the same thing. And in that video, William Beckett plays a bigger role than Brandon Urie.
Yeah.
Brandon Urie. And It's clear the label has high hopes for William Beckett, and the Academy is. They even toured, I guess... My first question is this. Did you know they toured together in 2006? They just sent them both to the UK, maybe to see what would happen? Or what do you think the thought process was there? Because like Urie's lack of prominence in the Little Less 16 Candles video made me think like, because I think like when you talk about a fever you can't sweat out, you cut up and kind of like not being sure if this type of thing will work. But then like emo was way bigger than anyone could have saw coming with My Chemical Romance and how they looked and how they were acting and things like that. And kind of the weirdness of Fever was way more important to people seemingly over time, like in a big way compared to Almost Here. That's not downplaying Almost Here. That's just like acknowledging how much bigger A Fever You Can't Sweat Out was. The thoughts on them just kind of arriving in the UK in 2006, both pretty fucking unsure about like what's going to happen next for them, maybe with the label, with their own fame. I'm just curious what your perception of that is.
I want to tour the UK. I don't know, man. I mean...
Tom, say one sentence about the Academy is in this episode.
I think to be sold out in the UK, I mean, when you talk about like the music industry as a whole, like bands from other countries are often talking about like, if you want to be anything, you have to be big in America. But all those other countries want to hear shit as well. So I think just being shipped off to a different country with like, I mean, Panic was popping off at the time. It's not like they were unproven, but like hadn't been around for long. I think it's pretty cool to see that like very early on in this era of emo or pop punk or whatever you want to call it is popping off in a different country where it's sold out. That's pretty cool.
Do you think it's
good for them?
A litmus test for the label to be like, let's just see how different audiences respond so we can get maybe a better glimpse. Maybe they didn't need to get a glimpse, but like at some point one pulled ahead of the other. And this is our perception. There's no like, I don't know, Ringer doc on HBO highlighting the career arc or anything.
Well, I mean, I just Googled the Academy is and their Facebook page came up, clicked on it, wondering what they're all about on there. 385,000 followers on Facebook, which maybe they're a whole lot more important than I'm giving them credit for. Apologies out of the gate,
to have your back on that one, you and I have been like mammothly wrong about just about every act heading into an episode before we've done the legwork. So, yeah, I mean, people love them. I mean, it's not like they were just some kind of like, oh, whatever happened. Like, they had a crazy following, and they even went on later, I think, to do, and we'll get to towards the end of the Fast Facts about, in 2015, they reunited to play Almost Here, cover to cover at Riot Fest in Chicago, hometown show. Riot Fest, obviously huge, kind of the outdoor scene and everything. And I'm sure people ate it up. Like obviously there's a following there. And one of the, I don't know, what would you say, top 50 2000s emo / pop punk records, or thoughts on that? How important is Almost Here?
They were nominated for a couple different, like 50 or 100 of the most important albums of this decade. So, and it's not like I hate them. I just I have no attachment to them. I cannot remember a single person in my life talking about this band. Somehow I came across the album. I'm not sure how. I feel like it was probably Sam Cray, because I feel like I kind of want to talk about this is not quite khaki rock, not quite polo under the sweater rock. I'm not really sure what it is.
Interesting.
But I feel like it would have come from Sam Cray, because he was the one getting me into Reliant K and Rocket Summer, stuff like that. Even All Time Low and Mayday Parade he got me into, actually. So lots of love for that dude. Endless love for that guy.
Thoughts on them having the kind of in a weird way an attempted sex appeal more than Reliant K could pull off? The way they sound, now that you mention it, it's kind of like, oh my God, were they khaki rock? Because there was a softness to it that would allow for that to happen.
Yeah.
And they throw down and slow down, which we'll touch on later. I think it's a fantastic song. But yeah, I guess when you just hear it, you're like, oh, it could have been pretty easily. But also I'm not so sure Andrew McMahon or Reliant K had the capacity to kind of have whatever the appeal of William Beckett was through the eyes of Fueled by Ramen at the time. You know what I mean? I think there's a different edge to it. I don't even know if edge is the right term, but that's interesting that you kind of lumped them in with them, or at least made them adjacent to that, because I'm not really sure what bucket they fall into.
I mean, I think they're a hybrid of a few things. I think visually, when you look at William Beckett, I see a similar appeal to him as maybe what a different faction of the scene would have appreciated about Christopher Drew. So there's a cutesiness.
In what way?
The hair. He's this cute stick skinny little guy, and he always has this kind of dumbfounded look. How did I get here? How am I such a sex symbol in the emo scene? I don't know. I think there's an energy about.
Here's
them.
A question: was there a sex symbol in the emo scene?
I don't know.
And right? Was there a misunderstanding? And let me be super clear. They played if you play a 10-year anniversary show for one of these records at specifically fucking Riot Fest hometown show, and people go nuts. This is us sorting through the absolute, biggest names, big game hunting as far as records go into 2000.
Yeah.
So it's not we're talking about this tiny band. It's oh, we feel so sorry for them. No, they were huge, right? So we're just kind of sort through the nuances of it. Obviously, the Academy hits is mammoth. Almost Here is mammoth. The music video was all over Fuse. I'll concede, maybe not in your living room, maybe Adam's living room. Perhaps my memory has faded and I've just begun lumping things now that I'm in my 30s. But obviously this is huge and we're not downplaying it at all. But is there a possibility that they didn't go nuclear as compared to maybe the top 5 to 10 bands for sales or popularity or Hot Topic wristband logo sales or whatever the but was it because they tried to add a Steven Tyler of Aerosmith energy to what emo was at the time? And it just wasn't when you say, was there a sex symbol in emo? I don't really want to even start naming names about why they are or aren't, but I overall can't quickly think of an example that would allow it for that to have been I guess a storyline necessarily. That wasn't part of the equation. It's we're all here to not feel great. None of us, you know what I mean? Right. It's just kind of that's not to say there aren't crazy Gerard Way stands on Twitter who feel that way in a huge way, but You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like in the 80s where it's just like the pants were tight, but they weren't made of leather and tight for that reason, right?
I mean, I think maybe there's also this element, we kind of bring it up, joke about it a lot, how it's like we all like emo, but we all hate each other for not liking the same emo that we like or something. So like, I mean, back in the 70s or 80s, you were just getting whatever the DJs gave you, and there were only 30 bands to choose from. So it was like, you know, the media or whatever is forcing, or Dr. Hot Topic is forcing down your throat, this is the sex symbol. But like, you know, in the more like modern emo era, all of these bands were relatively small compared to what Steven Tyler was or whatever. So like, there's no unified scene. So there's no like one person to like rally around or something. You know what I mean?
It is interesting. Like, what if they were extremely handsome? Like, not that other people weren't handsome, but like, what if they were extremely fucking handsome? It's just like, I don't know. The music's good, but they're handsome, you said? Ah, shit. I don't know. Maybe I'll see him in 10 years at RIFS. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. But it is an interesting wrinkle, I suppose. But we can put that line of thought to bed. Perhaps it was strange of me to even ask or go there. But I am interested to see, like, you know, I imagine talent scouting at the time was kind of a tricky thing to kind of gauge in real time, right? Like, to kind of feel what was happening and guess where it was headed next. Like, would people who put money down on a band like the Academy is and won, like, would they have also seen Neon coming or anything like that? I don't know. Like, was it getting sleeker, part of the plan, part of the equation, and the Academy was like a necessary stepping stone toward the overall Dr. Hot Topicness of like where the decade was headed?
So again, I have no like relationship with this band, but like quickly, I think what's happening in my brain is that I'm seeing their almost like their style or their like hype was like late for its time. Like it would have done, but like if Dashboard and the Academy has switched places in the decade, each of them would have been better off. Whoa. Maybe. Like, I don't know. It seems a little more like 2001 to me than 2005. I don't know.
Interesting. They went to Warped Tour in 2006. 3 singles from the album, check marks, Slow Down, which apparently is often incorrectly referred to as Hollywood Hills. I imagine that's exactly how it was labeled on the LimeWire download of everyone listening to this.
HollywoodHills.exe.
Yeah.
Definitely not a porn virus.
Yeah. Phrase that pays with a Z so that no one can search it in the right way or something.
By Linkin Park.
Yeah. But Lincoln spelled like the president. Anyway, we can stop. Those names were often zany, huh? Okay. The album debuted at number 20 on the Billboard Top Heatseekers chart, as well as number 24 in the Billboard Independent Albums chart. Also charted 185 on the Billboard Top 200 Albums chart. So there's noise. Not small, again.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah.
Big, not small. But by October 2009, the album sales stood at 250,000. And on February 2010, they performed a 5th anniversary show of the album with Sing It Loud as a special guest. And again, as we mentioned, in 2015, they did the 10-year reunion of it. Yeah, I think there's something to be said for this song and that album being what it was. But I'm glad you indulged me kind of sorting through kind of what that would have meant. Not just for the Fueled by Ramen efforts over the course of those 5 years, but I'm kind of intrigued that they were just like, hey, you and Panic, go to the UK, and we're just going to like figure some stuff about the both of you out while you're there. It's kind of how I take that, but you know, again, that's lacking a ton of context. I'm sure.
That was also after like a 2005 Warped Tour, so they didn't start in the UK. No, not Warped Tour. Yeah, the tour was something.
But yeah, then they went. Where was it? They went with Hello Goodbye, Panic at the Disco, Truck Stops, and State Lines Tour. The Acceptance was also on that bill. But yeah, so they just kind of paired them up for like a while. It's like, we can't figure you out, so just tour the world together, which I don't know, kind of interesting.
Hey everyone, give me a quick minute to shout out our Patreon supporters, our Council of Elders. In this group, we have Andre Prevost, Johnny Leftwich, Jason Carey, Anonymous, Chris Lukey, Nathan Eshelman, Drew Edwards, and again, newly joining the crew, Carrie Sanchez. Thank you all so much for supporting the show. We've been doing a lot of really, really awesome projects behind the scenes with all of the support that you have given us. If you'd like to check out the Patreon, you can head to patreon.com/reminiscent to find the 3 tiers that we offer. You can find weekly post shows, monthly AMAs, behind-the-scenes videos and photos, discounts to our merch, all kinds of cool stuff. Again, that's patreon.com/reminiscent. Thank you to every single person that contributes to the show. Thank you to everyone for listening. And without further ado, back to whatever this episode is. I'm sorry.
The music video. So it starts off with the car pulling up to where they're going to shoot the video. The video is of the video being made, more or less. And it starts with kind of, I don't know if it's our favorite trope that we run into, but another song by the band playing on the car that is involved with the first few shots. But attention's coming from the car stereo. And I'm into it kind of from the jump, I'll say. Thoughts for any newcomers on the band doing that? And why do you think bands would do that?
I mean, I think of In Too Deep by Sum 41. They roll up and they're playing. Oh, what are they playing? Fat Lip on the car stereo. Like if you roll up in a car, they're gonna be listening to something, and you're not gonna put in other band shit in there. So like, of course, you're gonna put one of your own other singles from the album in there. Maybe get them over to that one, after they're done listening to this. I think it's great. I love it every time. I think the show has made me appreciate it more. I've been talking about Captain Chunk a lot lately. They did that in one of the recent videos. I love it. I love seeing it.
Thoughts real quick. So William Beckett comes out of this car. He's here for his star moment. He's got hair, he's got clothes, and he's got a face and a body as well. He is a human person. Another feature about this man as he steps out of the car is he has an iPod set of headphones, which might be the most defining technological device of the 2000s.
Yeah.
Going from his ear to his pocket in a length that suggests he's put thought into how long he wants that cord to be, going from his ear to his pocket. Thoughts on coordinating your outfit to suit listening to music while you're wearing clothes?
Well, it's not even that. He only has one earbud in and the other one is hanging loose from the little connection point there. Those fucking things could never stay in my ears. So like the thought of not only having those in my ears and staying still, but you got one swinging freely around your waist is insanity to me. It's a cool look. It is the perfect length. Did he have to like finagle his iPod in his pocket a certain way to get it to fit perfectly like that? It's a good look though. I gotta say it is. It's a strong way. It's a strong way to introduce yourself in a video looking the way he's looking here. And he's only going to get better looking throughout the video.
It's true. Lord knows it's true. I'll say this. Here on the show, we support the over-the-ear headphones that had the band go behind the head.
Oh, yeah.
That was our music listening wheelhouse with the CD players and everything like that. No, but I guess the point here is that like 2000s fashion was based around the fact that your earphones were going to get yanked out of your iPod or your ears passing every single fucking doorknob for the rest of your life. So why not have a cool length? Because even if it was at a long length with some give, that shit's getting ripped out no matter what. So
oh my God.
Why not look cool in an illogical way? It's like going on a hike with some sandals. You're just like, I'm here to look good. I'm not here to do this well.
I always put that cord through my shirt. Always.
Interesting. Even tees that have no collar or anything like that. Because I've done it where I've zipped the hoodie over it or zipped a jacket over it, but I've never done it on my skin under a shirt. I'm intrigued by this. Do you care to expand?
I just didn't want that shit hanging around. I mean, it gets caught on things. It's weird. Yeah. Sometimes it's a little uncomfortable. Like our high school always got really hot in the summer. I don't think we had AC. And I remember being like, man, I wish this like rubber thing wasn't like rubbing on my tummy. But I needed to keep it out of the way, right? Mm-hmm. Now Bluetooth has taken over and I couldn't be any happier. Could not be any happier. But I don't think he would have had the spare room in his tight ass fucking t-shirt to put an iPod cable.
Yeah,
to.
let's just stop here with Will hopping out of the car.
Jesus.
Thoughts on tight tee culture? Because they got tight, Tom. Have they mentioned the tight tee culture? Yeah. Like not the size
midriff.
For that person. Yes. If we're
right.
acknowledging a human person who stepped out of the car and you asked a tailor to size him up, he wouldn't have come back with this size t-shirt, I don't think. But he was doing it in a way that everyone across America was trying to replicate ever since Avril Lavigne wore a t-shirt that was from a different high school way back when. And we've talked about that video on the show before.
Yeah.
At this point, that is alive and well, but the t-shirts are probably, it's almost like a Spice Girls 90s baby teeth thing, but like,
yeah,
it's kind of that same energy, but it's become like, yeah, for everyone. It's like, hey, find a small T. It's easy to do. You can do it. Just repeat after me. No, I'm just kidding.
And it's not even just the T. Like, it is short enough that his belt is visible with no effort.
That's a great segue. Thoughtfulness head to toe here for the introduction for Mr. William Beckett. Belt culture. You had, I think, a seatbelt belt. Talk to me about belts. Let's do the belt thing. I don't think we've done the belt thing. And I'm not talking about the Say Anything song. I'm talking about actual belts.
So I had a guitar strap that was a seatbelt. So the belts that I can remember having, I've always just been like a plain brown leather belt kind of guy. But I feel like around the same time that things were getting neon, there was also like, I don't know, like I remember having these really weird DC leather shoes that looked like boat shoes, but they were like, I don't even know if I can describe them. I have a picture somewhere on my Facebook because I wore these DC houndstooth pattern black and white shoes. And I had this belt that was like this real thick white belt that barely fit in the belt loops of most of my pants. In fact, they were pants that I stopped wearing because the belt didn't fit in the belt loops. But it was like a white belt with light gray texture through it. And then the buckle was this massive DC logo. And I used to love to wear the two together. And I got to bring her up every episode. But my first girlfriend, around the time we were about to break up, she said that I wasn't allowed to wear those shoes to her house because she hated them so much.
Every week there's a new wrinkle into this time period for you that I was unaware of after years and years of friendship. And it's a delight to me, I must say.
It's a delight for me to revisit that angst. But no, I love the belts, man.
Yeah, I mean, people were putting belts a few loops to the left or right. Like there was intentional, nonsensical belt stuff going on.
No, well, hold on. I'm 30 years old, and when I do wear a belt, I still wear the buckle a little bit to the right for a couple reasons.
Can I ask why? Yeah, lay it on me.
It's actually interesting. I started doing it when I was in marching band, which was 9th grade. I played marching snare, and the big contraption you had to wear went right where a belt buckle would go. And at this time I was wearing those real long shorts, man, those long cargo shorts. I cannot go without a belt. So all the drummers put their belts to the side so they can continue to wear a belt without having the weight of your drums crushing you. Not long after that, I started riding bikes, and the bikes that I was riding were like a more aggressive stance. So you're like really bent over, and you can't have a belt buckle digging into your pelvis and your stomach. So you put the belt to the side. And at this point, it's just a comfort thing, especially as I've gained a little bit of weight. It's a little easier to not have the belt buckle just digging right into your stomach. So if it's off to the side by one of your hips, it doesn't stick into your shit as much.
Who would want that? Let's be honest here. We keep it real here on the show.
Do you remember though? It was like a preppy thing and like a quasi wannabe punk thing where you had the really long belts and you didn't put the slack through the loops. You let it hang loose. Do you remember that?
A little bit. I feel like I have more of a memory, or at least maybe it's like the way it's being listicled nowadays of, I'm just envisioning like seatbelts and shit and different basically insane clasps made into belts and sold at Hot Topic. Like Dr. Hot Topic was just like, oh, they want to do non-traditional belt things. Well, let's think up everything we can immediately.
Well, I really want a studded belt, and PacSun was sold out the day that I bought my white DC one.
Yeah, you could customize the studs on the studded things, which were hot for a minute. More than a minute, probably. But I mean, it's just, shout out to belt culture. Not belt buckle culture. I think there's a real difference here.
I had a crush on every girl that wore black skinnies in a studded belt. Every single one of them.
Who among us did not? Who among us, right? Okay. You want to make another quick point here. Underrated hair. Is this scene here? Is it not? Quick thoughts. Let's get him into the building pretty quick here, but one last thought about Beckett as he steps out of the car here. Because he's the star of the video, like it or not. He just is.
Right. I feel like there's a couple different types of hair you could have. You could have Gerard Way hair, where it's covering some eyes. You could have Mayday Parade hair, which is what I had my junior year of high school. Very long, parted from the side. And then you could have Christopher Drew hair, which it was like parted from like the other side of your head, wrapping around 180 degrees.
Varying levels of straightness and curliness.
Right. And I feel like William Beckett somehow takes all three, where it was like not quite a mullet. It was a very like feminine cut, but there were a lot of dudes, even like some of my friends, I remember being like, damn, that should not be the right haircut for you, but you are killing it right now. Like, I don't know, man. It's insane.
Here's a question. Would he, as like a prototype, have done not better necessarily, but like, would he have done better in the 70s or 80s, perhaps, like in a metal hair band or like a 70s traditional rock band, like
it is a little
with
bit
some bell
like
bottoms
that.
and kind of like like it isn't seen here, I don't think, but it is like rock hair, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just curious because like he's definitely like, if I'm a Fueled by Ramen employee and I see this person, I'm like, this person is meant to be famous somehow. Like, I am acknowledging this, but yeah, it's almost like he fits a different mold a little bit. But maybe he brings. Maybe that's what makes the Academy is, interesting, is it's not quite khaki rock or whatever, but they bring kind of like whatever that appeal was in decades past to maybe a khaki rock sound if we're trying to, connect dots here. And again, full disclosure, could be wrong. We're just making this up as we go. If you have thoughts, tweet us at _reminiscent_FM. But yeah, there was something different about him. And I don't think you and I have, as non-the Academy is fans in like a familiar with their whole discography type of way. I've always been kind of curious about like that stardom arc, to be quite honest with you. Anyway, he enters a building. Scene 2. They're setting up, right? He does a wardrobe change. There's a guy in a vest that walks through. This is supposed to be kind of, Hollywood Hills and Suburban Thrills. This is like your typical Hollywood bungalow party where you have a view of the city. There's like pools and everything. Kind of that, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Just like a pre-turn of the millennium Hollywood party, like from back in the day, right? Is kind of the energy.
Yeah, it's a killer house too, man. I'm really digging it. It's a cool spot. And we get, around this time they're entering the house, singing starts. William Beckett walks in like, what's this? And we talk a lot about like, Spider and Can't Stand It. We get a line where he's talking about, he's just like,
doors.
Right. He says, don't pretend you've never been there. And it's like this really weird, like really dramatic thing. And then the next line is something about an over dramatic actor who's starving for work. And I just wrote, isn't that the pot calling the kettle dramatic?
Well, I'd follow up with like, is he laying it on thick because it's the story they're telling? You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Is he like setting the tone of the song because it's about this sort of needlessly dramatic interaction between boy A and girl A?
Okay. So he's self-aware. Okay.
Maybe I'd make that argument. Yeah. It's, like with the video and what the song's about, it's just kind of like, and like the fucking genre in the decade is kind of like, it feels it felt that dramatic at the time and that important.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe it's like a punch up or a send up of kind of the whole thing a little bit to give the Academy a little more credit. You know what I mean? It's just like, this relationship feels like an insane dramatic exercise that makes very little sense or something. You know what I mean? You kissed me like an over-dramatic actor. I will say this. The lyrics were like, to my teen ears, kind of like, I don't know. It is kind of hard to tell though, right? Like, I'm going to assume here in retrospect that they were self-aware enough to like, they're pouring it on purpose. Because once the chorus hits, it's just a rock song. And I think they're just like telling a story in a specific way.
Gotcha.
People in the house are putting eyeglasses, taking them from their face, hanging them from the collars of their shirts. Thoughts there, if it's not a buttoned shirt. I would fear I'd be stretching some stuff if it's not a V-neck.
Oh, my fear would be the glasses falling out. I don't know.
Yeah, what are you doing, people who put your glasses in your shirt? You're living on the edge, man. You're crazy.
I usually kind of put them in my pocket, but then I end up like hitting with my hand. Maybe putting it in the shirt is the right way to go.
You know what I've been doing for years, I've realized? Not seeing that well, but just kind of living with it and white knuckling it. Turns out I can't see as well as I thought I could. I just recently had an eye exam. And I do need glasses. And everyone's like, oh, you wear contacts? And no, I don't. But I should. Anyway, so I've never had this problem, but it sounds very stressful to me deciding where to put them on your body when you're dramatically taking them off your face as William Beckett walks by. Here's a thing that I just am going to say, and we can move on or we could spend time on it. It's up to you. People seem to really hate Weezer for how many fucking Weezer lightning strap guitar shops we see in these videos. Everyone loves to just talk their shit, but give me of any video we talked about that doesn't have the lightning strap. You know what I mean? I don't know. Riddle me that, Tom.
It's been in every single video we've ever talked about. Everyone loves Weezer.
Yes, that's my point. Well, maybe I'm just overprotective of my favorite band. People seem to I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I don't know.
They're setting up that this is like the music video is them preparing to make a music video, which might be like a new, not a trope, but something that we've seen before where the music video is the making of the music video. Interesting, right?
I like it. Yeah. Other than like Blink throwing money off a roof and doing that thing, but that's different enough, I think. Yeah, I think it's fun and good. Here's a question. Any film set experience?
You know, when they were filming for Transformers 3, they did 3 days in downtown DC, and I was there 3 days in a row for like 8 hours, literally from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m., just kind of watching what was going on. I thought it was very interesting. Yeah, it was fun. I ended up getting one of the PA's phone numbers and asking her out. But
interesting.
It was fun. There were some explosions.
Did it go anywhere?
We were gonna go out one of their last nights in town, but then the whole crew ended up having a thing, and we ended up, when I was on Facebook, we were Facebook friends. Very nice girl, but no, never ended up going anywhere.
Interesting. We got some mail at the student newspaper I worked at in college, trying to get student journalists to come cover this movie 21 and Over with like Miles Teller and a few other dudes. One of the dudes, Skylar Austin, maybe one of the dudes from Pitch Perfect. And they were in this movie by the dudes that made The Hangover, and they were like going to fly people out to Seattle to like interview them and like write about it in the papers.
Oh.
And so I went to Seattle after like pulling an all-nighter.
I didn't know
and
that.
I missed my flight. Yeah, it's kind of one of the crazier weekends I've had in my life. But I had just watched this movie called, was it Rabbit Hole or something? It's like one of Miles Teller's earlier movies. It was like Nicole Kidman and the dude from Thank You for Smoking were in it. Anyway, it's like a sad movie, but it's like good. But it's like in any movie. But he wasn't like a big actor is the point of me saying that. But I went there to Seattle after missing a flight, and I was exhausted. I hadn't slept. And there was a couple, reporters from Arizona State and everything. It was like a college movie, so they brought in college writers, basically. That's cool. I had not slept at all, but the University of Washington's campus was amazing. And then we had spent the day in Seattle and everything. And they put us up in this hotel that, like, you could see the Space Needle through the window, and they, like, had comped meals. I know. It was like, well, I'll just keep telling the story. Anyway, so I, like, blink, and I'm sharing a cigarette with this girl from Arizona State who was, like, her name was Mary, I think, and she was, like, she was like way more interesting than I was. Like, I was not a film critic. I was just like the guy that got the mail. Everyone was like, you think it's, everyone in Ohio was like, this is spam. No one's going to fly you to Seattle for free. And I'm like, I'll follow up. And then I'm like in Seattle. You know what I mean? So like, I was just there because I was willing to answer the call pretty much, or, like willing to write back. Anyway, so I'm there, and people who are cooler than me are offering me cigarettes. And I was like, whatever, like coughing and farting, whatever. But like, we end up, one part of the agreement was that you get to be like in one of the scenes of the video, and it's where the crux of the video is this guy whose parents are strict, has never really had fun, and he's going to go out and have one last big college night of fun in town. And we were in a scene, and it was so quiet and weird while they were going through lines of dialogue. Like, you don't think about that sort of thing, but they're just going to put the audio in later. But yeah, we got to like be in. You can see my hand, I think, in the movie if you watch the movie 21 and Over, but you have to be so intricate with how you pause it that it's like, I'm not in it, basically, but technically my hand is. But yeah, we interviewed Miles Teller afterwards, and I was asking him, I'm like, hey, how's it feel to go from a movie like Rabbit Hole down to this kind of like rompy hangover comedy? And he looked at me kind of like not expecting the question almost. He's like, you saw Rabbit Hole? I'm like, yeah, I thought Rabbit Hole was f***ing dope. And he's like, I like to think of myself as a versatile guy, and, you kind of do the work, blah, blah, blah. And of course he becomes, one of the most famous actors over the next 10 years or whatever. But he was a nice guy. And like, we did the interviews, and it was like this insane experience. hanging out with like people I didn't know 24 hours before in Seattle, just like living in Seattle, living in this like nicer hotel than I ever could have afforded. Again, the campus was gorgeous. And then I got home and then never wrote about the movie. It fell through. I don't know. The movie was a bust. People forgot about it. I don't know. It was just kind of like, it's a fine, college humor movie, but,
oh my God.
It was okay. And I think I maybe threw something online, but I don't think we ever printed anything. But yeah, it was just like this random weekend in Seattle. And like, I never talked to those people ever again, any of the reporters I met or anything.
Oh my God.
But yeah, the girl I was talking to, I was like, I forgot to take notes. I was so sleep deprived. And she's like, here, have mine. So I was like, I could have just not gone in theory. And she's like, yeah, I recorded all the interviews. Here's the files. I'm like, holy shit, thanks. That's way nicer than I would have been to somebody. So that was awesome. But yeah, it was like this free trip. And we like had the rest of the day the next day after a little sleep to like go to the Space Needle and all that stuff and just like do Seattle stuff. It was so awesome. It was like illogically awesome. And then I just got home and went back to my dorm room or whatever. It's like, how was your weekend? It was like, it was actually, pretty great. Anyway, I've never told that story on the show before, and it only kind of relates to what we're talking about today.
I had never heard that story before. Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, my Pat's weekend in Seattle. Mary from Arizona was a nice lady. I hope she's doing well. Anyway, movie sets. That's what this music video is. That was the stretch, but as buds, you should know that about me, that at one point I was in Seattle in my life. I get grunge now. I was like, oh, this grunge. I was immediately like very in favor of Nirvana's catalog. Gen X clicked for me in that day on that trip. Like, oh, interesting.
It made you an honorary member.
Yeah. I was like, George Pocock was a genius when it comes to making boats to row crew in. Wow. I'm so impressed by the team that went to the Olympics back in the 30s or whatever. Boys in the Boat actually is a great book, but I hadn't read the book at the time visiting the campus. But yeah, shout out to the Huskies. Anyway, William Beckett has a costume change at some point. He is about as Steven Tyler-y as any frontman is in any video we cover on the show, and I'd like to explore that, if only for a moment.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's explore it. Talk to me about it. I don't know. He's working the mic scene, and like I guess my larger point here is a lot of the times these are kind of garagey bands that need the singer to be playing an instrument as well to create the sounds they need. But I feel like it's more or less rare to have somebody just rocking the mic like that. Maybe I'm wrong. You could probably give me a few examples that proving me wrong, but I just wanted to touch on that.
I mean, I think there's a lot about this music video that makes me really uncomfortable. Like, I think living with that Irish Catholic guilt, if I were the lead singer of a band and the director was like, okay, the whole video is going to be you being made to look beautiful. We're doing your hair. We're doing your makeup. We're giving you costumes. Then you have to like look cool as on the microphone. I'd be like, there's no way I could pull that off. Like, that's insanity. I don't know how people do this. Like, they lean into their gorgeousness. I just don't know how it's done without.
Well, talk to me about it. Have you ever had that? Have you ever been doted on? Talk to me about it. Have you ever had that experience, and have you ever felt comfortable, uncomfortable? How's it feel?
I don't know, man. Like, what? Okay, so I talked on the Dangerous Summer episode that we met these two dudes at one of their shows, and my friend Nick, who I met at a Dangerous Summer show, was like, you should listen to his band. They're so good. And these two guys ended up like becoming really big fans of my band. And I'm not even kidding. For like 3 years, I would see them at shows and they'd be like, oh my God, it's Tom. And I thought they were fucking with me. Like they hated my band and they were making fun of me. But like, as we became better friends, I was like, I legitimately thought you were making fun of me and that you weren't sincere and that you liked my band. So I think there's like enough self-deprecating. I don't know. Like
what about on your wedding day? Did anyone ever like do your hair in a special way or anything like that?
Oh, don't even talk about my hair on my wedding day.
Fine, I won't. I take it back.
No, so like, you were there for my wedding. I was so unprepared. I thought things would just fall into place. Nope. I was like, I'm going to get my hair cut the day before the wedding. And it was like the worst haircut I've ever had. So then when we were in Vermont in this tiny town on a weekend, there was only one woman in the entire city that was cutting hair. She cut my hair and like made it worse somehow. So my hair is looking real bad.
Which, to anybody who has hair, that's super possible. Like the process of maintaining hair, it could go bad so easily a lot of the time.
Yeah. And then like we were supposed to do family portraits 2 weeks ago and ended up getting rained out, but I went to get a haircut and the girl that usually cuts it, who does like a phenomenal job, like wasn't doing men's haircuts for a while. So I had to go to someone else who was new. She misinterpreted something I said and she cut it all weird. So I'm like really glad we didn't have the family.
Do you want to fade? It's like, I don't know. I don't f***ing know.
But anyway,
William Beckett, star treatment, getting the hair, coming on
looking
set,
good. Yeah.
doing a sound check. Can I get some quick thoughts on sound checks?
I f***ed one up really bad once.
I mean, we've all been there, like, check 1, 2. Everyone like copies each other's what they say. You just play the role. Like if you're ever in a garage band, you just do what the band before you did. It's like, oh, you say check 1, 2, 3. Cool, great.
Well,
or it's like, can I get the snare again? Sure. Yeah, with pleasure. I'd be glad to.
Zach and I used to do this thing. I forget what show we were at. I think it might have been Taking Back Sunday. I actually think it was. And the tech was testing all the microphones, going, check 1, 2, hey, yeah. And he did it the same way, maybe 20 times. So Zach and I would check that. But no, there was a while where I was assisting. Hey, yeah.
I had forgotten that.
You remember us doing that?
Yeah, let's bring it to this show. Check 1, 2. Hey, yeah. But you need people that are into it to put on productions and stuff, right? Like you need that guy to be turned up to 110.
Yeah, well, because the fucked up thing about a sound check is like, so for a while I was assisting in the live sound at Empire, which was outside of DC. There was a metalcore and pop punk venue that like all these awesome bands went to. And I was supposed to be there for an internship at college and I was too nervous to run live sound. So I just did lights all the time. But the guy running sound like really had to pee and it was like an opening band. He's like, just take it. I showed you how to do it. Just take it. And I was like, okay, play the high tom. And he was like, doom, 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 playing the high tom. And I kept turning it up and turning it up and turning it up. And I didn't hear anything happening. So I was like, okay, let's just move on. Floor tom. He hits the floor tom and the speakers like explode. Because when he was playing the high tom, I was accidentally turning up the volume for the floor tom. And that's the only sound check I did at that video.
Right. Well, you tried your hardest, and that's all you can do.
It was confusing. It was a digital mixing board, and I had worked on analog in the studio, so I was just really confused. But the Behringer X32 was my nemesis for a while.
And by proxy, it is now mine. Damn you. So the drummer in this video, tank top, chest piece. Can we talk about like tank culture a little bit? I think there's definitely like a way people were showing their tats in a way that they weren't maybe in years prior.
Before I had many tattoos, it was 2011. And when I was playing drums in the band The Good Fight, we deemed it the summer of tanks. And I wore nothing but tank tops for like multiple years, but no tattoos to show it off. It's like back when like everyone was wearing deep V's because they all had those chest banner tattoos that, speaking of Newfound Glory a couple of weeks ago, I really wanted to get Not Without a Fight tattooed on my chest. I still might get a chest banner like it's 2007. It's cool as shit, man. I love it. I love tank tops. Although I'm starting to feel self-conscious in them lately. I like constantly have this push and pull in my head where I feel like everyone perceives me as this little boy. And I feel like tank tops make me feel like a little boy. So I've been wearing them less and less. And maybe there's just not enough therapy in the world for me.
I was going to say our episodes do teeter on therapy session now and again, but that is about as real as it's ever been. And I don't mean to say that in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, but it's certainly something to explore. I might, for the sake of time on this episode, say explore on another day. But I remember we were at the beach once and, my mom had bought like matching sleeveless shirts for my dad and I to wear. And my dad put it on and we were supposed to be like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like a fucking criminal. I don't know. He just ripped it on. I don't know. So I don't know what that anecdote is supposed to do other than like maybe make you feel comfortable as an adult man to be like a shirt can make you feel a certain type of way, I guess. I think we've all been there. Real quick, somebody's in the kitchen of this house on the shoot, and they're making what?
2 eggs.
And the 2 eggs most likely don't last like the feeling of what he needs.
I lost it when I saw that. Just 2 eggs.
I don't think it was a nod to that, but I really hope it was.
Me too, man. Me too.
Anyway, let's speed this up a little bit. William Beckett is working the mic. I don't know, any other frontman stuff. I feel like I hopped around a little bit and I keep making the same point. I'm either making the point too many times in the same way, or I'm not touching on it in a real enough way to actually address it. But he had a frontmanness to him that I think a lot of other bands in the era did not. And he did it well enough, right? I mean, it's one of the best albums of the decade. And again, if it's good enough to warrant a 10-year reunion show, then you definitely... hit one out of the park. So maybe that was what made this band interesting, right? Is that they had a traditional instrumentalist frontman that was getting star treatment in a very in a way that we maybe, whatever. I've said it again. Let me know if you think we're handling this the wrong way. But again, let us know if we're missing the point of the Academy is. Tweet at us at _reminiscentfm. If we're just swinging and missing on grasping what the Academy has brought, then let us know about it. Yeah, he goes into there's a shower scene. He is standing, he's lamenting near a shower that people are in, which is then he uses the restroom. Then someone on set is supposed to go find him and they walk in on him using the restroom. And then there's 4 people in the bathroom. I did not fucking understand this sequence at all. So I almost don't even want to talk about it that much. So let's just keep on moving. There's kind of a Hollywood's pretty f***ed up undercurrent to this music video. There's a creepy old guy, around the younger ladies. So maybe a little truth to power there a little bit at the time. I don't know. They're definitely making high school relationships seem like the drama involved with acting, but also taking a swing at maybe Hollywood in general as well. I don't know. Any thoughts?
Well, I mean, what I kind of grasped from reading the lyrics is that they are equating this relationship to have the vanity and the vapidness of Hollywood culture. So they're just putting themes together that sometimes to me hit and sometimes don't. This definitely is leaning harder into, I don't know, just showing how f***ed up Hollywood is, and their relationship is exactly that way because she's dramatic and doing stuff for attention, yada yada. Yeah, I'm not sure really what the through line of all of it is, but there are some things that make you think. I'll say that. Sure.
Let's talk about the bridge real quick. This is one of my final, bigger points, I suppose. I'm going to ask you about sriracha on eggs in a minute, but let's do this first. Because the eggs make a return appearance in the video, believe it or not. Let's see. Yeah. So I think in the past, I've tried to relate this bridge to the bridge in Say Anything's Alive with the Glory of Love, but I don't think that's a great comp. But it's one of my favorite moments of the decade of the bands we talk about. I do sincerely love this song so much. And I'm going to try to explain it in a layman way, and I hope you can kind of expand on it, Tom, with maybe some of your technical expertise. But the way the bass drum kick kind of works in tandem with the strumming, and then I guess the snare hits come on and kind of kick off the jam that follows, I guess, you know what I mean? I really wish I could be conveying what I'm saying a little bit more, but I think there's an explosiveness there, or at least a very moodiness, maybe not explosiveness, but they take the whole thought process and energy of the song and encapsulate it and really dwell in it and kind of swoop you up into it with the way they kind of go into the instrumental break. Do you have thoughts at all?
It slows down to he's singing slow down and the beat kind of drops to half. It's a nice little groove I don't know. It's just kind of hey, you thought we were done making you feel great with our music? Wrong. It's going to continue to be really nice. So listen to these guitars and drum kicks and it's going to continue being great. I don't know. I don't know. Usually you're the music theory stuff. And obviously this is not that irregular to comment on. But I guess I just really like it. And I thought it might have been a thing. It might not be a thing, I'm learning, but I enjoy how they enter the instrumental break on this. Okay, that's all that matters.
I suppose so.
Okay, sriracha on eggs. I don't know about sriracha. I'd put Tabasco sauce on eggs. I don't know if I've ever had sriracha on eggs. I'll try it. I'd be down for it.
Cool. Glad
and
we
that's
got to the bottom of that one. That's it, everybody. Dragging each other over broken glass, we have made it to the end of the Academy of Slow Down Music
We did
video.
it for you.
We did it for you.
I mean, I don't know. It's not an offensive
But I'm not
song.
in the same headspace as you. I fucking love this song. The instrumental break is so good. They rock so well. It's so fun.
I mean, I just don't have a relationship with it. I remember I have one distinct memory. I have one single memory of listening to this band. I think I've been talking about.
Have you even said it out loud on the show today?
No.
Please do before we end it.
I don't know why I've been talking about mowing the lawn so goddamn much on the show, but like I was in the garage at like my mom's house and I'm filling up the lawnmower with gas. And I was like, you know what? I'll give this band a chance. And like halfway through the second song, I was just like, ah. And then I changed it to something else.
Now I'm glad you saved it for the end, to be honest. Well, but okay. Yeah.
So that's it.
There was no youth pastor that recommended you revisit, and that's where I think that's where we're. No, just not your cup of tea, huh? Okay.
I don't know. It's not bad. I just don't. I don't know. I don't vibe with it, but it's not bad. I'm not sitting here saying this is dog shit music. It's just not something I enjoyed at the time. It doesn't mean 10 years won't go by and I'll explore it and fall in love with it, but not me right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's not in my top 10 or 25, so to speak, as far as albums go, but this song has been pretty heavy rotation on playlists over the last couple of decades, so I'm grateful.
Well, let's end it with some songs that we are listening to lately.
Yeah.
Or that we
Last
are
Train
enjoying.
Home, track 1 on Sob Rock by John Mayer. It's going to be Sob Rock for a while, everybody.
Okay. I don't know what were we watching? It might have been Dickinson on Apple TV Plus. It was either that or I don't know what else it could have been. But the song Weekend by the Upstate, it could have been Mythic Quest, possibly as well. Just a fun little song, summer vibes. Yeah, Weekend by Upstate. Cool band name too.
When you say summer vibes, as a dad, what talk to me about what a summer vibe might look like nowadays, because I need to prepare myself.
Well, a summer vibe currently is not a vibe you want to be experiencing on the regular. I'm thinking, like, for some reason, this has never happened to me, but I'm thinking driving a convertible around the peninsula in Erie, PA is a summer vibe. We've got tank tops, we've got some Mountain Dew in the cup holders, and nothing to do for 4 days until we go back to school. It's a long weekend. To me, that's a summer vibe.
Tom is uniquely himself at all times in the sense that his billionaire fantasy where he's driving a convertible, there's a Mountain Dew in the cup holder.
No, I'm like in this fantasy, I'm like 16, you know.
Nice. Billionaire at 16. You're doing pretty well for yourself. I'm doing pretty okay, Mom. I think I'm allowed to go see Newfound Glory, all right? I made $1 million damn dollars or $1 billion damn dollars. All right. This episode's over.
All right. Sorry. Love you all. Bye.
No, don't be. Or maybe we should be. Love you. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. You can find the show notes at reminiscentpodcast.com. Make sure to talk to my son on Twitter @_reminiscentfm. And don't forget, smash that subscribe button, mother fudgers. Seriously, break your phone, put your thumb through the screen. Do it now. Okay, bye.